We are live. Welcome everybody to tonight's live stream, Truth Proof live stream.
How are you doing, Les? You all right?
Yeah, I'm not doing too bad. Nice and relaxed tonight, I hope. So we thought we'd get a special on for you guys out there tonight. Obviously, we've got a few things to talk about, haven't we, Paul?
A few things to talk about, but these Sundays, I'd love it to be question based. If just put them in caps and just ask away. If I don't mean we'll be able to answer your questions, but I think between us all, we might be able to come up with a few theories and speculate. So I love it like that because it stops me thinking too hard. So everybody knows.
Well, that's it. Well, I look at it like this: the more man's on the same subject, we're probably going to come up with some more rounded results, aren't we? Thinking.
You would think so.
You would think so.
I can see a few people in here now. That's great, isn't it? That you're here to have a listen and support tonight. So we've got DM. It's gone now. Disabled Welshman Ralph. Martin Abbas, Fred Flintstone, Welsh Dragon, I know you are, Jamie Lee Deaton, I see Linny were in, and Elaine, Keith Ladd, Jason Taylor, they're all flipping through. Tony D, Steve Teese, Danny Egan, yes, brilliant, thank you.
Yeah, and I think we've got John Thomas, Awake, 09, Dodge Boy. And
Patrick Danielin, really interesting guy, Patrick. Not that anybody in chat isn't, but I've had some good conversations with Patrick. Robert Hilton, it's brilliant to have this, not support, but we're all sharing same kind of ideas and views. We're not all going to agree, but we're all sort of here for the same thing. Yeah, and regardless of what we're into, Les, whether it's UFOs, cryptids, ghosts, and I know that they probably interest you a little bit more than they do me.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody in chat's got something.
And don't forget, folks, we'll be having a little mini series of ghost stories coming out, told by my good self. So whether if you want to get your hot cocoa and your slippers ready, and for when that comes on, and listen to what we're going to put out there in the story format, then that'd be great.
That's frightening in itself, isn't it, Les?
I'm frightening myself already, and we didn't even go off the ground. But I kind of want to start with something that you mentioned today, and it's rather concerning an individual who's had ill health or going through some ill health, and he's had a strange experience. And it's a story that we really want to put out to people in the chat tonight, because Paul will go through it, and we'll see what you're going to think on that issue.
Yeah, well, basically, this guy comes in chat. He supports the stream, and he's interested in the unexplained, and is going through a difficult time at the moment. And tomorrow he's starting some treatment for an illness. Apologies, Tuesday he's starting treatment for an illness. And I spoke to him today, and he just asked me to throw it out to you guys in chat. I'm not going to say his name. And basically, a few weeks ago, he said, because he was feeling really low, he was laid in bed in early hours at morning, and he sort of just contemplated, and he just put a message out there. And he said, if there is God, if there are angels, please take this away from me. I don't want it. Please take it away. He says, and he's laid there in his room, no lights outside, no external lights. And there was a flash of light and a band of light from the top of where the gap between the curtains and the ceiling went across the room and then retracted. He says, and the morbid thoughts that he'd been having lifted. And his words were, he says, I felt as light as a feather. And he's just asked me to ask the people in the chat, so just please put it in block capitals, what you think, and obviously be respectful, what they think. Is it some kind of sign? Is it a message? Throwing it out there. I've been asked to ask, so that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, and it wouldn't surprise me if people in the chat tonight have maybe had experiences or know people who have had experiences like that. So
it's fascinating, and like you said, Les, I would imagine there's a lot more people do experience things like that, and just while we're waiting, in case anybody does want to, like that Stargazer Eternal said, that feels like a good sign. That's exactly what it felt like to me. Regardless of your views on religion or anything, it's almost like a message that this man's got. So yeah, a lot of abductees get those flashes of light. I had one the night before last, Joan Thomas, fabulous Joan, and yeah, is this man's situation an abduction type scenario though, Joan? But I know where you're coming from. I know what you're saying, and just while we're on with that, because there'll probably be more to suit this man's question that he's put out there. The flashes of light, Joan. What? I'm interested. What do you think they are for? Do you think that is a distraction? So I've already got in my mind what I think it's for. And we see the flash of light. We'll do one example. We'll go to the cliff tops of Bempton. Elderly couple walking along the cliff tops. It's a true story. Late evening, not quite dark, and there's a flash of light. And we've heard this one. We heard the one from Howard Hughes in 2018 with the 3 people on the cliff tops, flash of light, and they'd lost. I think they'd lost an hour and a half of time, but they see a flash of light. Everything was brilliant daylight for a second, and then the next thing that this elderly couple realizes is that they're in a room, and they're surrounded by beings that aren't human, or that's what they say. But do you think, to get back to what Jones just put there, are the flashes of light a distraction? That's what I'm thinking, to channel your mind somewhere else while the real magic is taking place in the other end. That's my kind of thinking. And if go on, Les.
Yeah. Do you think this could go slightly in the way of linking like guardian angels? You're looking over.
It could be, I suppose. If we're talking about, it's hard because I don't want to offend anybody with religion. But if God exists, and there's loads of people that believe this supreme being exists, he's a supernatural being. In my opinion, he's in the same realms as what we're looking into, and there's going to be some people that are going to disagree with that, I realise. But just back to the flash of light and the distraction, is it any different to the cryptid scenario? So they're in the forest and the crack of a branch. They focus on that sound, and before they know it, this strange descent into this lower silence has occurred. And this overwhelming fear comes. It's almost like whatever it is that we're interacting with is employing like tactics to take us mind elsewhere while they get involved. I don't know. Just thoughts on it. And have you seen any questions come up or any?
Let's have a look. Right. Annie French points and is asking, has Les had ghostly experience that prompted his new series? I can honestly say that I've not had any, Annie, myself, but I've always had a deep interest in the ghostly aspects and the ghost stories. And the ghost stories, it's a bit like some of the stories that we've covered in Wolflands and, Paul has predominantly in the research, where a lot of it goes back, and when it goes back that far, it just disappears into folklore, doesn't it, Paul?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So you get this, so it disappears into folklore. So, yeah. And of course, I think over a period of time, a lot of these stories, they do get added to. They might get embellished, but I think the core of the story is still there right from day one. Don't you think?
I think there's some substance to the story from day one, but I would imagine everybody puts their own little slant on it, and depending on what you want to believe. Do you know what I'm saying? It's no different in present day. With a UFO researcher who gets a report in, and if he wants to believe it's something slightly different and there's a structured craft behind a sphere of light, when he writes that report up, that's the way it will go. And the guy who was looking into the ghosts and the mystical spirit beings will think that that's a spirit apparition, perhaps, Yeah. Same thing, though. Go on.
Yeah, I just want to amend one thing. What I got to say to Annie. There was one thing I did mention in one of the streams that we did, Paul, is that I had, when I was laid in bed, felt somebody definitely sit at the end of the bed. You know, when your bed goes down and you can see like an imprint. Well, I couldn't actually see the imprint, but you just know it was going down, and there was only him in the room.
How many people actually feel that? I would imagine, whether you're interested in paranormal, the unexplained or not, I would imagine there's not loads. I'd imagine everybody's felt that strange sensation of the bed going down and what causes it, and the touch. Have you ever sat there and felt a presence, like a touch onto your skin, onto your hand or onto your leg, and there's nobody there but you? You know, it's got to be.
Yeah. I mean, what I experienced there, just at the end of the bed scenario, I think it pales into a bit of insignificance with the stories that you're going to tell from your childhood, Paul. And
I don't think so. I think it's all significant. I just want to jump. I've just missed question now that Jack missed your surname as well. He came up with this pixelated being on the beach. Can you see that question, Les?
Really. This is dear. Just looking down, we're on our own tonight, aren't we, Paul? So
we are. It was to do with the pixelated being and something to do with simulation.
What sound stamp have you got on that one, Paul?
I don't know. It's gone now. It's gone. No worries. Just copy and paste it. Right, I've had the bed go down and my leg moved out of the way. Richard Bennett. It must be a frightening feeling, to be honest with you. I think it was probably about 2 years ago, and Mary, my wife, used to go to bed. We're in a ground floor flat. Not that it matters; it could be upstairs, but odd times she would come back in and say, "I can't sleep in there at the moment. It's happening again."
Really?
And she'd go to bed, and she could feel the sensation of something creeping up the bed and almost being laid at the side of her, and it weren't me. It had happened twice when I were in bed, only twice, and you could feel it coming up bed in between middle, and you felt electric. It was pins and needles, because I were wanting to see whatever it was. I'm thinking, come on, I want to see you, but I never did. It would either dissipate or relax. Everything would relax and disappear. So it's a strange one. And my mum had the same thing happen. Teresa, no, nice one. It must be a lot more common. Tessa, it was. Sorry, it must be a lot more common than people imagine. But people, as a rule, they're just not talking about it, either. We just don't, do we? We suppress it because you think, to talk about this, people's going to think I'm mad.
Yeah, and Robert, no, I don't have a cat. And to be honest, I don't think a cat, even if you got a big cat, you wouldn't feel the big, drop indent feel into the bed. I want to thought anyway.
The room that's now the second floor flat in our property, that bedroom, there's a lady in there, Wendy, and we'd never told her, and I've told this story before. She came to us one morning and wanted to know if the house was haunted, and we asked her why, and she said that in the night, and she'd got a little Yorkshire Terrier that was on the bed. It used to be yap like mad, it did, to be honest with you, but she'll probably be watching this, falling out with me. But this one was. Yeah, one sec then, Les. And she said that the bed went down, and she felt round with her leg, and the dog was there, so it wasn't the dog. And she called out and asked who it was, and she had a conversation. Really strange. And there's something else from that room, but let's have that question, Les, please. Oh, I see it now.
Oh no, the Jack Rumney. Statement.
Figure on the beach that pixelates. Anything to do with digital simulation? Who can say? So I suppose, Jack, you're hinting towards it being some kind of man-made technology that's created this. It's possible. Would can you imagine it happening on a remote beach after midnight at Hornsey? I suppose Hornsey's as good a place as anywhere. But I've got another one on the old RAF base at Bempton from 2019. And remember, and I'm keen to stress this, it's out of bounds. It's on private land. I don't recommend anybody goes on it. But somebody did in the night. And they claim that a figure, like a grey shadow type figure, walked in front of them. There's another one from an ex-South African military guy. Yeah. And I think we featured him, Les. Have you got some questions there, Les?
No, no.
Me and Chris Turner featured him in Bringing Down the Light, and he'd seen a figure walk down from the base whilst on the cliff tops with his wife and just pixelate and disappear in the daytime. He said he had a blue raincoat on. So quite what's happening, I don't know. But I'll say it again. Either all these people are imagining it or lying, or they're telling the truth. And when you've got hundreds and hundreds of people all saying similar things, I think we've got to say there's a little bit of truth to it. Right, Mike Ward, how about cryptids and the well-reported mind speak related to these creatures? Yeah, Mick. I would agree, the mind speak, but is it any different to the spiritualist who hears voices? Is it any different to the alien abductee? And that might be what you're alluring to. Who's presented or who's stood in front of these beings or laid with these beings looking over them and the speaking in the mind. Are we dealing with one intelligence? Are we dealing with one of many of the same type of intelligences, and they're all using the same type of science, exotic science? I don't know. They're all things we've got to ask, because it strikes me, that's why I say there's a thread of the same running through everything, that the mind speak is no different to clairvoyance. We're just dressing it up differently. We're just speaking about it in different terms. Paul, have you been watching The Curse of Skinwalker Ranch? If you have, I haven't. Apologies, Ben. I won't say I've not watched it for any other reason. I've just not seen it. And is it good? I don't know. Have you been watching it, Les?
No, I wouldn't even know which channel to find it on, Paul. Really.
And Tom, what?
Oh, the only thing I've tuned into, and
I'll lose that question, Tom. But go on, let's.
Yeah, is David Paulides did a series on the Skinwalker Ranch investigations, the last ones they've done. So I've listened to his reports on that one, but that's all I've listened to.
Right. Okay.
So what, we've got another question, Paul, away.
It's gone now. I can see one from the lost tapes that says, "Are there certain parts of Bempton that are worth visiting, exploring? You should make a map." Yeah, I did this map at back of us, and I filled it like a pin chart of all the different anomalies and all the different things that were seen at one time when we were doing a documentary. And you're right. But I think anywhere is worth exploring. To be quite honest with you, not just Bempton. And I know I've written a lot about Bempton in the books, but I don't particularly think it's any more strange and paranormal than Speeton. And once again, I've said this before, Les. It's a little village with next to no population, and it's about a 400-foot incline to get down to the beach. So you've got to have a bit of lung power to get down there, because it's very steep. I think you've been down on there, Les, haven't you?
Yeah.
And you get low. You get, compared to the population and the footfall, you get a lot of reports coming out of that area, which is quite telling, really. So I reckon if there were observation posts set up there overlooking the sea and the cliffs, it'd produce some incredible results.
Yeah, and I think really, and regular people who tune into this show will know the amount of research you've done in the East Yorkshire and North Yorkshire region. I reckon on that map behind you, you could put a pin in every square half inch of that map to show where there's some activity of whatever phenomena has been going on, whether it be lights, strange occurrences, or what have you. I reckon you could fill that map.
You could, I mean, it just happens that in myself, you've got somebody who, I think I've been up there 4 times this week, but I'm not on my own. I'm not. That for every person that goes into these areas, there's other people coming. Pete, he don't even want to show his face on or speak on a camera, which is good. He's happy to do that. And there's Ian comes up, as Bob comes up when he's not been in greatest of health lately, but I see Mysteries and Monsters in. Hi, right, Stan Smith. My mum had a cold off her 2 nights in a row, 2 nights before. I wonder, Stan. I mean, I hope your mum's okay as well, mate. But I wonder if it's the person, your mum, throwing out so much emotional energy and so much thought that she's actually connecting with whatever it is at the other side of the firewall, so to speak. because it does seem like at times of great stress, we connect with this unknown other. That's how I look at it anyway. Did the Rev see any signs of a satanic worship in the abandoned house in Wolflands? No, not that I know of. Not at all. No. And we didn't. So that kind of answers that.
Yeah, I mean, is from when we spoke to the Rev, his encounters were at that period and that period only, but there was no. Yeah. He had some strange things in the woods, didn't he? He had the radio chatter,
the baby crying, the infant, which is not unlike the Bigfoot scenario. But
so if he wanted to attribute anything demonic to that, then we don't know, because he never told us that, did he?
Well, yeah, but once again, Les, you've just hit on something there. If that's the way we wanted to think, if that was our sort of genre, our portion of the interest, the demonic side, the satanic stuff, that's probably where we'd lean with it. Do you know what I mean? We just ultimately, though, I think we're all dealing with the same thing, whether we're looking into UFOs, cryptids, or anything. The actual core of what's taking place, the mind speak, it's there within every part of it. The descent into the lower silence, it's all there.
I agree. Yeah.
Cryptid sightings and ley lines, Richard. I don't know. Lots of people have said that or put that question forward. What do you think, Les?
Well, if ley lines are energy, but are they ley lines are just what are the water courses?
No, I don't know enough about ley lines. If I'm being truthful,
yeah. Somebody in the chat will put us right on these ley lines and what they actually are.
You can definitely feel energy with is it dowsing rods and what have you in certain areas. It's incredible, because we went to Willie Howe, me and Mary, probably 4 or 5 years ago, and Jessica, our daughter, who was the singer, she'd got an old music stand, and it's perfectly shaped, curved. I cut it up and made 4 rods. Don't worry, people. She knew I was going to do it, and we went to Willie Howe, the burial mound. And it worked. It was a lovely, still summer's day. And we walked, and these things turned, pegged it, walked the way they turned. They did it for me. They did it for Mary. And it was like a cross.
Yeah.
And from what I can gather, looking at the maps, I'm not going to say one of them went exactly to Rudston Monolith. But when we pegged it, and when you do a Google Earth, it looks like it goes towards the Rudston Monolith, the actual where we pegged it. Obviously, you're not going to see the pegs, people, on Google Earth. I do know that. But what's interesting, the Rudston Monolith, Willie Howe, and the Staxton Wold radar base all kind of run in a line. And obviously there's a lot of ancient earthworks and things around Staxton Wold. So the radar base is not the energy line that I'm talking about. I think Staxton Wold is built on an old Roman hill fort. Hi, Alison. You've had a good day, have you? Well done. Yeah.
I think that's why Alison's not doing the moderating tonight, Paul.
Oh, she's had a nice relaxing day, so it's all good. And good
one.
So yeah, right. Question: have the lights at Bempton changed over the years? Do you know, Stargazer? I would say, although there's lots of things being seen, primarily these orange lights. No, I use the lifeboat logs that have been looked at, decades and decades of them. The reports of the red and orange lights over the sea, and the boats have been sent out to investigate in case there's any vessel or aircraft that's in distress, and they find nothing, and they come home and they put on report false alarm with good intent, and there's loads of them. And I even think now that some of the people working the lifeboat, and I know some of the Coast Guard, even though they're most difficult people to deal with for me personally, because they don't want to share any information, and not that they have to, but I know that they're it's set their minds ticking. When you've got 7 hours and 9 hour call outs looking for something that's in distress, because whilst the lifeboats are out, and not just from Brid, from Hornsey, as far up as Whitby, because people are seeing these lights, and then they're all coming back. It's found nothing. And false alarm with good intent. Well, it had to be something. But it's really difficult because nobody wants to actually admit to the fact that it could have been a true unknown. It was an unknown, but they don't want to say that. So false alarm kind of covers it.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of akin to when you had a period of a few years where there was these coastal animal injuries, shall we say, and what was it?
It was 2017 to just after 2019.
Seals and animals like that, wasn't it?
It was seals.
I remember seeing a video or an interview actually with somebody in East Anglia on the Wash there, where they had some of these injuries because they have big sandbanks on the Wash, and it opened his eyes, and he wanted to know obviously more of how these injuries have occurred. I mean, a lot of these injuries look like corkscrew injuries, didn't they? So people were saying there were the ship's props that had damaged these.
And you know, in some instances, you know, we can't get carried away with unexplained phenomena hypothesis, can we? Because in some instances, that's exactly what it will be. You know, I showed some pictures from a guy we've had on here, a really good researcher, to some fishermen on harbour, and they said that seal's been hit by a propeller.
Yeah,
it's that corkscrew, and it's just flipped them. And then there were some other theories that it was something to do with the wind turbines, and they were getting sucked into something below the surface and pushed out the other side, and it was causing these spiraled wounds. So not everything is going to be unexplained phenomena, is it?
But but they didn't all have spiral wounds, then, did they?
No. It's terrifying, isn't it, to think that? I mean, I spoke to Mick Park today. I don't know if Mick's in chat, and he was talking to me about something that we might have a go at next Sunday. We might discuss it if anybody wants to do a bit of research.
Yeah.
And it was the Peru alien attacks, and I didn't know much about it, and he sent me some links which I'm going to have a look at today. But I'm not going into too much detail because I don't know enough about it to talk in any detail. But yeah, Stargazer, right? Okay, Jack. Paul, I was thinking that it could indicate that the place we live in could be a simulation. Wow, yeah. It isn't that frightening. And you know, Jack, I'm not saying that you're right, but when you think about synchronicity and coincidence, is anything ever a coincidence? Because there's so many things. Even that thought, when you think, I haven't seen a name, say, in the last 2 or 3 years, and suddenly they walk round corner, or you bump into them, and it's I don't know.
No, that is weird, though, isn't it? When that happens.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And I'm not saying that we live in a simulation, but it's a frightening prospect that we could just be some kind of game for some other advanced intelligence, and our lives are literally in their hands. You know, some researcher could get a little bit too close to truth, and suddenly, I don't know. We'll look what's happening. A bit like on Jason and the Argonauts, simplify it, when they were watching and setting up scenarios for him to do, and he's just got a little bit too close to truth. I think it's time for him to say goodbye. Frightening prospect.
Yeah. A question from Nickname. Paul, have the areas you mentioned got busy with truth proof tourists?
Yes, they have. Yeah. I mean, there's a couple of places where they've got holiday cottages in area, and people will ring me and say, I'm off up at weekend, or we're coming for a week. And I say, where are you staying? And they tell me. And I even filmed a guy not long since, and we went to cottage and had a drink and what have you. And somebody came out and we're talking to them who own them. And I said, you should be giving me some commission, because you're getting lots of people here who are interested in the unexplained. But the cliff tops this week, I've been up there, I think 4 times, and there's been 5 or 6 of us each time on cold, horrible, bleak nights. And you know what we've seen and what we've experienced? Nothing. You know, and that is the nature. That is the way of it. Little sparks, little pinpricks of light, if that makes any sense. And if we've time, we'll touch on that in a moment. But because I just want to concentrate on the different places make a difference in, not just Bempton. Yeah, I would agree, Alison. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think more so if you're looking at ghosts and apparitions and hauntings. Obviously, when buildings are associated with the hauntings and ghostly apparitions, aren't they?
Or just to playing with this a bit, could it be that different places, if a place has got a reputation for hauntings,
Mm-hmm.
could it be that that's what you'll see, that's what you'll experience? Do you know what I mean?
You mean if somebody implants the idea into your brain before
not necessarily not implants it? You'll go there because you're
with expectation.
Team of ghost hunters, because people have talked about ghosts being there.
Yeah, it's your
Is
expectation.
that what you're going to see? Meaning, and I'm meaning, is this phenomena, is this intelligent other just giving us what we want? You know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Probably. Yeah.
Hi, Joel. There's
Yeah.
how you doing, mate?
Thanks for coming in.
There's a guy that spends quite a lot of time at Danes Dyke and had a few air-raising experiences of his own. So and Mysteries and Monsters, you're not late, mate. It's good to see you. All good.
All right, I'll put this one on the screen. I ain't pre-read this one, Paul. But Martin Abbas, is that why CE5 seems to be successful in attracting the phenomena? We connecting with the same energy that it seems to work with, made of probably another part of that.
There may be some more to that, Martin, but CE5, is once again,
summoning, isn't it? Summoning.
It's the concentrated effort, though. It's mind, isn't it? You've got a group of individuals. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but if there's been a landing or some suspected strong UFO link to an area, go and see whether you can bring this through. Is it any different to prayer and you're in touch with God? Is it any different to use? I don't advocate the use of the Ouija board, but is it any different to people using a Ouija board? And the whole idea of that is to, set it up in an haunted house, say, and we want to contact the spirit that's there, or we want to contact the deceased somewhere. And suddenly, with the right mindset, the right approach, and I don't use these things, but there's a little bit of connection. Just on the peripheral at first, and it seems as our enthusiasm grows, as our interest grows in what's happening, the phenomena seems to grow, but it rarely ends good. That's, I don't know.
Well, it is actually Joel's birthday today.
Happy birthday, Joel! I'm not going to sing to you, mate, but enjoy. I hope you've had a good day.
Yeah. So we've got. Maria Jagger, hi Paul, have you looked at the Patrick Johnson sphere theories, otherwise known as quantum paranormal?
I haven't, no, and something else.
Something else.
My mind's mashed with what I'm looking at now, Mario, but something else to have a look at. Thank you. I saw, Alison, I'm getting some reports from around my area just now, which is more frequent. Yeah, and. It's really strange, isn't it, that it's a bit flat, like I've said all week. Nothing's happened, and we had a bit of an experience a few weeks ago, but before that it's been months with nothing happening. But like Alison's just said, it's getting more frequent where she is, and it does seem to build. It's almost like a bubble that builds and then pops and it just dissipates and dies down again. So kind of make the most of it if you're wanting to look into it.
And here's the question that we thought we might be asked this week, Paul, from Colin Falcon. Paul, what's your opinion on a recent event in Miami? I have a friend there that's told me the police are under a gag order. Something just seems off about it. I know you've loosely looked into it, Paul.
And if it were you that contacted me, Colin, because somebody did contact me and asked me if I'd look into it, although I suppose in UK I'm not best placed to look into this. And there must be researchers, out there in Miami who are feet on ground and better placed. But it does seem strange. Les and I were talking about this earlier, and look at the amount of cars that were there. I mean, where's got the footage up? Look at that. And this alleged being, do you see it? It's not a film set. And all these are police cars, Les, yeah? Well, yeah. You can see
and it's stretched for a lot. longer than what you see. You know, I don't
What
know.
I find odd is where are the police? Are they all in the cars just observing?
It looks like it. You don't see many. You can't see.
No.
Oh, you see some people walking about between the cars here. Between the cars here, look.
Yeah.
There. But they don't
It's,
see him
well,
in
no,
any
people are walking the other way. Oh, it's strange. You know, and I have had emails this week saying there's a lot more to this than some kind of hoax. So I don't know. It remains to be seen, I suppose.
I mean, it was quoted that the whole of the Miami police squad cars turned out.
Yeah.
So how many it consists of, I don't know. But yeah. Well,
interesting. I don't know if there might be. I saw Miami clips. Looks like a hologram to me. John Thomas says. Do you know, John? You could be right. Yeah.
1423. I'll let you read this one up, Paul.
It takes physical energy to generate light. It affirms the theory that this entity is always, you're spot on, always listening, always present, responding to direct requests or prayer. It's calming effect. Come on. Its calming effect. I was going to say mim effect is a good sign. Yeah, but do you think then 40 and 23, like you've just said, the calming effect, I've done it again, the calming effect. Do you think the calming effect is the same intelligence that's creating the fear effect in some people? Are we dealing with the same thing, or do you think it's many, many different intelligences? Just throwing that one at you, really, because from what I can see, a lot of this turns pretty dark. And I know it's not turned dark for the guy who had that elated feeling after putting that thought out. But yeah, that's a great way of looking at it. It is all seeing.
Stan Smith has got a follow up to his earlier statement.
She had been putting out thoughts to a deceased. Yeah. And it's almost as though those thoughts have been answered, which is it's fabulous, really, and gives you faith, doesn't it? It makes you realise that it's not worth. Just don't give up. Does Andrew Collins speak about the psychic questing books with Paul? I've spoke about lots of things with Andrew, and I know he did a lot on the psychic questing years and years ago, and I know he's written the book Light Quest, and yeah, Andrew's into many things. So it's somebody we need to get back on here, because the last time we had Andrew on it, probably a couple of years ago, the audio was absolutely appalling, and it made for a pretty bad one. So that's one we need to readdress if possible, and I'll contact him. Yeah. So, and you can ask him yourself then. There's Shane. Shane come up on Clifftop with us other night.
Yeah, welcome to the stream, Shane. Yeah.
And I think you know Shane is Les, don't you?
Oh, yes. Yes, I do. Right then. So basically he's asking, Paul, I know I talked about it the other night, but with you, but can you ask Les his views on the old stinker with him coming from Hull? Well, I know this story was covered by a local researcher in detail, and gave his story to the Hull Daily Mail. And as far as what I've looked into, Shane, I think the witness, I mean, Hull is this fishing city on the East Coast, as most of you probably know. And the people in Hull, they don't stand for any crap. And they won't give you crap, if you know what I mean, Paul. So when I hear people say they went out, took the dog out, and they saw this thing, I have every reason to believe that's what they saw.
Okay. It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, because the people, they're not fanciful around here. Are you with me? And they've had more than one sighting as well. So
what I couldn't get my head around is, and I don't say that they haven't seen this. I'm with you on this. They've seen something, and it's interesting. It comes out onto the beach at Barmston, which is only 6 miles from Bridlington, which is only 15 miles up coast from Scalby Mills, where one of his witnesses had his encounter on Clifftop. So you know, so everything could be linked.
Something
when they were talking about this, and when the Old Daily Mail were running this story, they used as to bolster the story. Most of the information they used were from Flixton, which is nowhere near. Do you know what I mean? Which is there's talk of it attacking, the stories of it attacking a stagecoach in the late 1800s, early 1900s, which there is at Flixton. There's talk of it appearing on a road. It was the A1039 road in front of some motorbikers, which is in Flixton. So it was a shame, really, because the story was strong enough to stand on its own legs without robbing stuff from Flixton.
Yeah,
you know.
And I think the drain does go by a pretty big, what was a pretty big burial mound, where was the trees on there, Paul? Originally, was it?
I don't know where we are with this burial mound.
Yeah, and was it at Bamston itself?
You're on about the I think the lime trees. There's a circle of lime trees.
That's right. Yeah, but it's quite a big area.
Yeah,
it's pretty much on par with Willie Howe and places like that.
And I mean, the Bamston drain was excavated to stop the low-lying parts of all flooding, weren't it? So it's a man-made drainage in 1800s. It might have been even earlier than 1800s. I ain't got that information. Question, what's this then?
But I think certainly if there was more stories coming out like that today, because these reports happened quite a few years ago now, didn't they, Paul?
Fits and starts, though. It's a bit like Alison said earlier. They've got a bit of activity going at the moment, and then it'll just dissipate. It'll die down. And we had same on Wolds from about 2004, maybe a bit earlier, to 2009, and it were really active, and then it kind of phased out. Any more experiments? Well, do you know, Danny, we tried the watchers, the time experiments, but that proved a bit difficult trying to bury these things without causing a lot of interest to other people when you're doing like these boxes with the 2 watchers in each box. But I've now got thermometers, like digital ones, because we've noticed temperature fluctuations when we're up on these cliff tops. I've just bought that. This was a joke, to be honest with you, because I was telling Ian other night, I said, I've just bought a compass. And I looked at it on Amazon, a marine compass, a big compass. I thought, well, we can, because we use a little compass and when EMF meters are sort of fluctuating to see if there's anything happening, you know, magnetic wise. Yeah. And so I thought I'd buy a big one. So I just bought it. It came yesterday, this big compass. I haven't got it with me. I wish I had. It's about that big. So I mean, the description of it and everything, it sounds good, and it weren't that cheap, but it's the size of a golf ball, and I thought it were going to be the size of a tennis ball. Right. But not to worry. So So that's not answered your question though, has it? Experiments planned. We just briefly, Les, and then we. I know we've only got 15 minutes left, or so. EMF meters. Tri-field meters. We've taken them up there for years and years and had little to no success. And for some reason now, these things are definitely starting to respond, and not just to what I'm doing, to what we're doing as a group of people up there. So are they experiments? I don't know. I could do with somebody with a scientific background to start and come up and maybe plot what we're doing and document what we're doing and get involved himself or herself, because I can't do everything. I really can't. It's difficult, you know. So off we go then. Go on, Les. Why are the CIA allowed to get away with being associated with the OAG recovery of UFOs? Why aren't the papers on that? They're being controlled. Well, I would agree, but Tony, I don't know why, apart from it's the suppression of information. You know, you can't do anything, can you? So I should imagine this is so sensitive, because you can't do anything in life now. You can't even make a phone call about yourself without having to go through your life story to prove who you are. So I know that don't quite answer your question, but everything's just nailed down that tight that we can't get out in it.
Well, this one from Nickname sounds a very good question. We talk about what we don't know. What do we agree to know about this phenomena, though? Well, yeah, good question.
It's a great question, and it can only be answered simply, really. We know that it's real. Just because we don't understand mechanics of it, Nickname, just because we don't understand how it's getting here, don't make it any less real. So that's all I could agree on. I think we all agree that there's something real, else we won't be doing this now. And this channel is just a sort of fly on a gnat on a animal's back compared to thousands that are out there all discussing and looking for the same kind of answers, and none of us have found them, but we all know that there's some reality to what we're talking about. Alex here.
Thompson, yeah, he's asking question, Paul, has anyone come forward to report hitchhiker phenomena after a visit to Bempton? That's a good question.
Yeah. And there's a guy who comes in chat. If he were on now, I'd say his name because he comes in quite often. And I've actually seen him put in chat that he went up there and nothing was same for him after that. And bad things started to happen. It weren't particularly good. The night of February the 8th, 2020, and I've said this one before, myself, Bob Brown and Gemma went up there. They saw the square of white light on the hill that dropped to the ground and disappeared. That night, something growled when she was sat watching TV. Imagine sat there with the wall at back of you. And she said it was so loud, it like shook her inside. She couldn't believe I'd never heard it. It's really strange. And we didn't hear a thing, which makes you wonder. Let me just throw this one out. If these things can talk into our minds, if these intelligences can actually predict what we're going to do next, what we're going to think, what's to stop them putting images inside our heads? Are we actually seeing what we're seeing all the time? If it's got that kind of intelligence, that kind of advancement, that it can look at us and know what we're going to do next. The Bigfoot phenomena in America, he picks the gun up, he's going to shoot this thing because he's terrified, and a voice comes into his head that says, "Don't do that." This is no normal flesh and blood animal.
Does this thinking come from your boyhood experiences when you was in bed and you saw your grandparents around the bed?
Well, without a doubt, it's got to do, because I woke up that morning and I saw a row of these things stood, and it was very early morning and it was daylight. So it was summertime. That's as much as close as I could sort of give you to a month. And I looked at these things and I was terrified, and I turned away, sent to be their ages, but probably in reality, not even 2 minutes. And when I turned back, I'm looking at a row of people from Mum and Dad's wedding album, my grandparents and some other relatives. Didn't look like that. It looked like them, but it didn't. They didn't look real, if that makes sense. I didn't look like I wanted to run and put my arms around them. But as a young boy, you're limited with life experiences, and we had no money. My dad sort of worked for a pittance. It was a terrible job that he worked at, and so there are no bookcases and things in our house. But we'd got the wedding album, and I remember looking at that picture. These things can look into your mind like looking through a filing cabinet, in my opinion, and show you what they want to show you, to pacify you, to terrify you. All instances. What's this?
Right.
Have you had any reports from Boynton? Do you know something, Annie? That kind of makes sense, Boynton. Why didn't I think of that before? Yes. Yeah, I have. Yeah. And Boynton, there's a few reports. There's one that I got from 1970s from an old guy called Horace Coltus. Horace is no longer with us, a Bempton man originally. And he gave me an incredible story of a UFO. You know Boynton, so it's just this row of properties, and it just a bit near the timber yard, if you'll know what I mean. And a UFO just went up the road, and Horace told me all about that. I got a report from somebody looking from their balcony not long ago, seeing orange spheres of light. So that's Boynton. I've got one from it's difficult to, I don't want to give place away, but it's a property just out of Boynton that looks onto Waldgate. And they had a landed UFO, or if it didn't land, it was just above the ground, and they looked at it from their bedroom window. We talked about it on a short, or I did a few months ago. And there's some more from Boynton as well. Slips me at the moment, but if you've got some, Annie, I'd love to hear more, please.
Yeah, brilliant. I've got a couple of good questions here, and I'll put the first one up. Tony D, what's your thoughts about orbs? Are they probes, beings, energy, civilization, or other? That's a great question. So it's really getting to the nitty gritty here, Paul.
Well, what's your thoughts about
what do you really think? Yeah,
I suppose it's everybody's interpretation of what they are. If you're a sort of ghost hunter, they're going to be spirit type things. The fishermen see a white light on the cliff tops, Tony, and it moves about, and they've seen it at one stand, and they'll pack in what they're doing, or leave the rods with a friend and go up to this, see what this other fisherman's up to, because it looks like a headlight, the head torch.
Yeah.
When they get there, there's nothing there. And it's not just one that's seen it, lots have seen it, but they interpret it as a ghost. It's the ghost of Big Railings, the stand where people fish, and it's called Big Railings, and they call it the ghost of Big Railings. Danes Dyke, loads of people have talked about the ghost of the White Lady, and it's a sphere of light. I've looked at these lights over the sea, these orange orbs, and I believe that they're intelligent. I believe there's some kind of intelligence. Whether there's some structured object behind the light, I don't know, but hence the name of my first website, ILF UFO, and that were back 2002, 2004, intelligent light forms, because it just sent, like, there's an intelligence to them. So are they probes?
Under Tony's question, then there could be probes then, couldn't there, Paul, really?
Yeah. I mean, I really don't know, and they could be all or any of them things. And just because I think that there's some kind of intelligent light, if somebody shows me different, or I find out different, I'm prepared to change my mind, because that's what it's all about, really. I haven't got the answers to this.
Kind of a follow-on question here from J. Leveler. Hi, Paul, Les. Have any of the lights around Bempton ever made any sound?
No, never heard anything with these lights at all. And on November 14th, 2019, when I were on that field with Lee Roscoe, apologies, Lee Hayward, and we turned round, and there's the huge one close to us in field, and they were huge. I mean, if anybody's watched Wolflands, our documentary, you'll see Lee talking about this, and he says the influence the light was giving was as big as a Volkswagen Beetle. And he's not lying. He's not. I was there. I saw it, and it just dissipated to nothing. But there were no sound, no electrical sound, no static sound, nothing. So yeah.
Good one here from Billy GW. The only thing that exists is what we see. It's not made till we observe it.
So I don't know. Maybe that might have gone straight over my head, Billy, because I'm looking at Les now. So are you saying he's not there until I see him? This pencil, if I move it away, doesn't it exist? I'm not. I don't know. You're probably right, but maybe there must be a different way of addressing the question, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Let's bring this one up from Martin Abbas. They wonder if we are projections of our conscious selves in other dimension.
Do you? I'm not sure if you mean I wonder if they are projections of our conscious selves in other dimensions. I don't know, Martin. All things to consider, I suppose. I don't know.
Right. What time we've got? We know we're going to be out of here at 8, dead on. So
yeah, Les has got to be somewhere, so we do have to close down at 8, people.
I am driving tonight, guys, and right then, here we go. Let's see what I can bring up here from Jeremiah Abbott. Speaking of the Bempton ILFs, do you know of any poltergeist or shadow figures, or just any other phenomena there?
If we're talking about this area, and let's move up and down the coast. We're only like 15 miles down the coast, where this young fisherman saw this pixelating being. So there's that, and then when we put that one out last week, a metal detector on the beach at Bridlington claims that something invisible were throwing stones at him. And I don't mean there's somebody stood on Arbor Wall throwing stones at him. He's gone on a low tide at 1 morning to the shoreline, and he really spooked him. And I think I just touched on somebody who'd been on that base, which I recommend nobody goes on the base, and said that a shadow type being just passed in front of him. So that there is talk of other types of phenomena being seen up there. But
has there been the same phenomena? Has there been ILFs and shadow people stroke?
I've not got anything that's been spoken about in I saw this and that were there as well.
Yeah.
I haven't. I did interview Mick Sigson, that fisherman who claimed to see the spaceship land on that hill in 1998 with a group of other men, and I've now spoke to some other men, so we know they saw something, and it weren't a combined harvester, it were in the air. because at first Mick says I thought it were a combine. Then I could see the sky between the land and it. But where am I going with this? Jumping back to these ILFs, after we'd interviewed him, after we spoke to him, I'd asked him if he'd seen the orange lights, because in his own words, I've fished the cliff tops, man and boy, for 50 years. And he said he hadn't. We put the cameras away. Bob Brown was stood at the side of me, and Mick might listen to this, so I daren't lie. And 2 big orange lights lit up in the sky, not in heavens. You were like looking at 2 tangerines. And I showed him, and he went, "Oh, bloody hell!" Like, and I got the camera out, put it on, and they switched off. That's why I'm talking about things, and I'm in the context of intelligent light forms.
Yeah, I suppose the obvious question here comes from Slip. When you see the lights inland, do you rule out people lamping?
Yeah, because they're in the sky. I'm not saying that there's nothing being land-based, but these are in the sky and they're not up in heavens. So, but I get where you're coming from. I mean, I've been up at Cottam and I've seen a big red lamp moving around fields when we've been up there at all hours. Do you know what I mean? So we know that there's people up there up to no good, should we say. So, you know, you make a good point, but no, not when it's in air.
I'll just throw this one up. It's not in caps, but
and it's not a beam. Just before you head to end that, it's not a beam of light that could be projected. These are just solid balls, and they're hardly throwing any light out for intensity that you're looking at. Go on, Les. Sorry.
1423. I got a screen grab of the alleged face peelers. Not very pleasant, to be honest, but there's obviously something going on there. These manners in backpacks? ? Bizarre.
So you're alluring now, 40, into the Peru aliens, which I'm gonna, mix sort of really interested in this Mick Park. So he's got me sort of interested. I'm gonna have a look at that, and that's what they call them as well, the face peelers, which is
is an offer to Mick Park if he's got a lot more information or
come on and let's have half an hour of this.
Okay then. So what time I got? 56. Yeah. Okay. Let's see what I can get through here. Just scrolling down. Bear with us, folks. Tonight we're on our own.
And good night, Alison. Catch you in week. Enjoy your night.
Okay. What's this one, Tony? Is anyone from Tony D? Is anyone following or aware of Jimmy Blanchett's work in the contacts of NHI?
No, but it just shows how far out of the loop I am. I'm sort of in my own little bubble, Tony. So no disrespect for you for just saying no, but I've just made a note of it. I'm going to have a look.
Thank you. For a pleb like me, what is NHI?
Well, yeah, you're not going to get an answer tonight, Les. We're going to have a look at this.
There's a lot of research out there that probably we could both do to be looking at, Paul.
It's timeless. It's time. Yeah. If you address time to everything, you'd get nothing done. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What's this? Miss Teresa Maria. Oh, yeah, this is crazy. They said it was some kids lighting off fireworks.
So I take it this is the Miami one, Tessa. And right. I think it must be. And I totally agree. It is a bit crazy.
Big turnout though, isn't it, for fireworks?
All those police officers or all those police cars for kids letting off fireworks. And I've not heard anything staged about some big movie production that's required all this. I think with cross-pollination of news travel nowadays, we'd know about it, won't we? Yet nobody seems to know. It's crazy.
Okay, with only a minute or so to go.
Yeah.
I think. See if I can grab up one more. Scrolling as fast as I can.
Well, while you're scrolling, anybody who's interested in our documentary Wolflands, it's on Amazon Prime. And if you want to buy the DVDs, if I can point to them, go to the truthproof.uk website and you'll be able to get the DVDs there. And if you want the paperback books, likewise, they're on truthproof.uk website, and the Kindle editions are on Amazon. So I would just get that in. And
I'm sorry, I probably missed loads of questions out tonight, guys. I'm sorry about that. And but what we've had has been really interesting. I'll just throw this last one on for tonight.
Wouldn't that be great, Ben? And we do get internet in certain places up there, so yeah, it's a good idea.
Sporadic, isn't it? As well.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll be looking into that, no doubt. Yeah.
So, well, thanks very much, everybody. And questions led, questions based. It goes as fast as anything. So we will be doing another one next Sunday, and maybe plan some. I'm not going to commit to anything, and I don't know Les ain't gonna, but we'll maybe plan some more like off the cuff ones and see if we can get some participation with you guys, because that's what it's all about. I mean, I can learn, and I know Les can, as much from you as what you can from us. So from me, thank you.
Yeah, and from me, thank you. So we'll see you all on Thursday the 11th, I think, Paul.
Yeah, and then we've got Mark Ollie and Irina Scott on together. So, and they're only on for an hour. And if you guys start telling us we're not on long enough, we'll just see if we can slip a few more things in for you in weeks to come. But thank you.
That's it. And on that note, good night. Oh, and thanks for all the monetary support we've had tonight. I've just noticed that in the chat as well.
Superb.
So thank you. All right. Good night.
Stargazer, Auntie, Anna, all these names. I wish I could read them all out. Martin Abbas. Good night. Linny. And Kim King.